Wednesday. Actually, I think it's an episode of Patreon Picks. But we are looking at an SNES game, a game made by Enix, Brainlord. Brainlord is a Brainlord is an odd game. Yeah, it's odd. We'll go with that. So the opening cutscene, my father leaves to find a dragon and tells me that if he fails, it'll be up to me to find the dragon and to not let the family bloodline die. A few years later, I'm looking for adventurer work, along with 4 other adventurers: Rain, Ferris, Cassian, and Barnes. I like the dynamic these characters add throughout your quests. When you go into dungeons, they'll just be sitting in some of the rooms to give you information and to just talk to you. So we see a posting to go gather dragon scales for the local blacksmith. I go talk to him and he says that he'll give me 10,000 per scale. So I head out and I gotta say, I really like my attack. It's fast, it's wide, it's a really good attack. And the combat in this game is pretty fantastic. I take out these weird goblin dudes and I make my way to a cottage.
And inside that cottage we find
a health boost and a fairy. Name the fairy, how about a fairy lady? And now for the rest of the game, I have this little follower that shoots fireballs at the enemy. Cool! However, soon I get killed, but it's not too big of a deal. I mean, I lost half my money, but there are so many enemies, and killing the enemies are worth a lot of money. So I make it to the tower, get to a save point, and then I get another HP boost. I'm given a spell for ranged attacks. I mean, look at this. I'm 15 minutes in, and this game has been extremely generous. It's doubled my HP, given me a follower, unlocked ranged attacks, and the follower is leveled up a couple of times. But even though the game is giving me all these upgrades, it's not super easy. The combat is fairly straightforward, and it's easy to avoid damage, but if you get careless, it will hit you. So I'm forced to leave the dungeon, get some health items, and return. When I get back to the dungeon, armor upgrades everywhere. I also get this item that works as a dungeon map in every single dungeon, wherever you are. Also in the dungeon, I meet him, at long last. Brainlord! So you're the guy who made this game. Die, Brainlord! I won! I beat the game! I killed Brainlord! So, that's Brainlord. Or at least, you know, it was a brain-looking enemy. There's still like another 12 hours of the game. So I solved some strength puzzles. You know, puzzles that were kind of like ones from Pokemon with strength. You push the stone, open the door, go in and get a shield, and an even better sword, and an even cooler projectile attacks. Look at this. I ran into a mini-boss, and he probably should have been a challenge, but with all these upgrades I've been given, he wasn't even a blip on my radar. After that, I do a couple more little puzzles. I guess platforming would be more apt. And then I fight a boss. And he's just a big old beetle. He isn't too tough. You know, he just runs around and I smack him with my sword. But you see, he keeps spitting out these erratic, high-damaging beetles, and they took me out a few times. But eventually, I did beat the beetle. So I head into the back room and find myself a dragon scale. So I warp back to the first town, walk up to the blacksmith, and since there's been a huge fluctuation in supply and demand, he'll only give me 2,000 for the scale. Well, screw you, dude! I don't need your cash! But I soon realized that for story reasons, I can't continue in the game until I get completely taken advantage of. After giving him the scale, he says that I should check out the dungeon in his basement. So I go and buy some weapons like an axe and a boomerang, and I head inside. So after reaching the next dungeon, I get another fairy, and the cool thing is that you can have more than one fairy active at a time. So now I have one that's shooting fire attacks, and another that's lighting the way in the dark rooms, and the rooms have a lot of puzzles. Some with moving platforms, some with these disappearing platforms, and some that include both. I hated when they put both types of platforms on at the same time. Look at my notes. Look at my notes. Look at how much emphasis I put on the word sadistic. It changed me, man. It changed me. And this is where the problems of Brainlord start. There are just evil things in this game. No rhyme, no reason. Did you know that you can push this pillar? There is nothing to indicate this, but it is 100% necessary to beat in the dungeon. What about right here? There's a sign outside the door that says, "Look before you leap." And then it requires a leap of faith because there's an invisible floor right here. I think one of the biggest problems with this game is that there's like 5 dungeons and each one is roughly like 2 to 3 hours. It really messes with you after a while. But it's not all bad. Found lots of HP containers and I also got the Morning Star. I love it because you can like swing it around your head. I also really like this part where you can ride this thing around. Whee! After a while, I get to the office and, well, this is a pretty sad office. And then I need another key to continue. Find the key, open the door, get killed by the boss. The boss was actually a very neat idea. So if he touches you, boom, it's over. And every few seconds he uses this powerful magnet to suck you in and crush you. Well, earlier in the dungeon, I found the cape. Improve your speed, but you have an armor rating of 0? Well, that's super dumb, but it's perfect for the boss. He's gonna kill you in one hit anyway, but if you had a higher speed, you could run away from the magnet. Run, 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 run! Shoot him in the face! Rinse and repeat! Get the key for the equipment room, go in and collect my reward. After that, we head to the city of Toronto. This game has 2 cities in it, and this next one is pretty big. I kinda got lost. I did find a guy who wanted to trade something I found in the ruins for a healing fairy, and he also gave me access to the underground monster fighting arena, where you can like bet on monsters. I also found Rain's fiance's house. He did mention on the last quest that this was gonna be his final one, but seeing as how his bae got stolen by the Goblin King, he needs to go save her. And to do that, one of the characters opens a portal to the desert. After searching for a while, we find the dungeon. An ice-themed one, and fighting on the ice sucks. The good news is that my new fairy is a healer, and she fixes up most of my damage. She won't save me from absolutely getting just massacred, but if I take 1 or 2 hits in battle or simple damage from an environmental trap, she fixes that right up. And here is where the game got a little grating. So I soon got used to the ice, and these dungeons are long. My heal fairy makes it so I don't really have to put much effort into fighting anymore, because I'll get that HP back. Combine that with the awesome armor and weapons I keep finding, and it really gives me a lot of time to reflect on the dungeons. They are long! All you do is walk to a room. It's locked. Go find another room with some dumb puzzle or platforming in it. Get the key, go to the locked room, and then enter to find another dumb puzzle with a key at the end. Then you use that key to open another room, and I get this is essentially like Zelda, but in Zelda, you know, the dungeons are only about an hour long, and it's more than just platforming strength puzzles, and there's usually more than just keys to get through the dungeons. Like, you'll enter a room that gives you an item that you can use on the environment, but in all fairness, this dungeon has one moment like that. You get a fire sword, a sword with fire on the tip, and you use it here and only here. Well, I guess technically you can use it to help Karshian at one point, but yeah, it's really underutilized. In addition to stupid repetitive puzzles, there's this. Can you call this a puzzle? You enter this room and you need to go through here. You know, after trying everything, I looked it up. And the solution is, okay, look at the screen right now. Look at the buttons that you use. I have not pressed X once in this game. It's not a button that you use, but you need to press it here to open the door. Okay, you wanna know the best part about this answer though? The question was answered in 2013. The question was asked in 1996. Poor guy. So Rain finds his girlfriend Vanessa and then gives me the spell to defeat the boss. So after a few more puzzles, I find the Goblin King. He sends his ghosts after me, and they are easy enough. You know, you hit them with Rain's spell, hit them a couple of times after they're vulnerable, and boom, they die. Then I go into the king. And then Rain steps forward and tells me that he's gonna kill the guy. But then Ferris shows up and tells us that she's a fairy queen, and the goblin is just looking after her place.
Huh?
So Ferris wants me to meet with a dying dragon, and we leave. So to meet the dragon, I need to go to the land of the shadows, but the statue that teleports us there is missing its sapphire, and without the internet, I would have never found it. So, in the very first village, there is a church. Somehow, you need to know that you need to go there and step into a back room that you can't even see. Talk to this one guy, and he'll just hand over the sapphire. Then you can go to the land of the shadows, which is pretty bland and hard to navigate. And you also need to know that you need to just jump off this one cliff so you can get to the next dungeon. In all fairness, it is a pretty short dungeon, but it has 2 of the worst things ever. Number 1, necessary damage. You need to walk on the lava. But this next thing is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in a video game that is trumped only by something we'll see later in this game. So it's a dark maze, but guess what? Rocks that aren't on the screen can move. Let me repeat that. Rocks that aren't on the screen can move!
Let me repeat once more. Rocks that are not on the screen can move!
The tunnels, they're a-changin'.
Do you know what this means? You can enter a maze that may not even have an exit. I got literally trapped in a corner because one of the rocks moved to block my entrance. There's actually a pretty well-known trick to getting through any maze. You take your right hand, put it on the right-hand wall, and then you never take your hand off that well. It actually works pretty well in video games. I've used it before. But this technique doesn't work when the rocks can move! Look at this bullcrap. I need to get through this wall. But there is a literal wall in front of me. Literally, a wall is stopping my progress. And the only way I'm gonna be able to get it to move is not by my own wits cutting it, but it's by RNG. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me, Brain Lord?
Is this a puzzle? Is this a puzzle? What? Who designed this? What? Ew! This isn't game design!
Eventually, the game decided that I was allowed to pass on, and I found the dragon. And he's all, a demon destroyed your world in 7 days, but my existence keeps him at bay, but I'm gonna die soon. You should probably go kill him before I do that. And I head out! So the entrance is in the middle of the town. So I head in, and at this point, I am just burned out on fighting. It's a waste of my time. I already have the best equipment, so 4 out of 5 times, I just walk past the enemy, because I know that my fairy will patch up the minimal damage that I take. And the puzzles here are pretty unremarkable. Look, after this one certain puzzle I faced, I forgot everything else about the dungeon. There's nothing really worth mentioning, but this. Tell me, do you see any game design here? Look really close. A maze in pitch black. This is the most infuriating thing I have ever encountered. I am at a loss of words on how to even explain it. Walkthroughs online just say, just find your way through. As anger-inducing as some of these black rooms are, the final section, I don't have any words, man. So I found a map online that helps a little bit, but here's the thing. The tiles here move you around, and this wall is a one-way slope, meaning that you can fall off of it, but you won't be able to climb back up. If I ever find the man who put this in this game, I'm gonna punch him in the schnozzle. So eventually, I made it through. I grabbed the key and I went to meet the final boss. But I needed one more key. A key! I forgot to grab the key! So I had to traverse that dark room again! At this point, I was so mad, I assaulted my SNES. Never have I been so mad at a game! After going through that literal hell twice, the boss was unremarkable. Just throw a boomerang, save the world, whatever. Also, this final cutscene just kind of cheesed me off. So my character's running. Use the warp gate. I always carry a warp gate to teleport out of dungeons, and you're just gonna... you fell. Fine, you know what? I'm glad he's dead.
So, that's Brain Lord. It starts out really strong. That super fun combat, fun puzzles, the fairies that follow you around. But as the game drags on, some of the worst ideas in video games are implemented, and it just loses all its charm. That super fun combat becomes worthless, and let's see what we're gonna look at next time on Patreon Picks. Okay, I completely forgot to do the drawing, so I only put up one light. I put all my lights away, and I forgot one. So there's all the previous picks. We got a bunch of picks. Somebody decided to donate $10 whole last month, so there's gonna be 10 of his picks in there. So just go ahead. Oh gosh. Gotta get all the picks. Gotta shuffle them around a bit. Alright, what are we gonna look at next week? It'll probably be better design than Brain Lord was. And it's going to be Shono Super Mario Galaxy. I do believe that Super Mario Galaxy has slightly better odds of having more programming prowess behind it. See you next month. Bye.